Thank you for joining us now. Perhaps we should start from the biggest story of the day. Can you hear me, Charles?
Yes, thank you for having me, Frank.
Yeah. Maybe we should start from the fact that the story has been trending that the DSS were planning to arrest Emefiele and actually invaded the CBN premises, although Emefiele was away at the time. Now Emefiele is resumed. But let's talk about...
Yes, again, you could see that we need to practice responsible journalism. Of course, you can see that the DSS is coming out to say that it's fake news, and of course CBN has also reacted. I think there are some fifth columnists who are trying to cause problem between the DSS and the CBN governor. However, if there is anything that the CBN governor has done that warrants his arrest, of course they should go about it in the normal way and arrest the man. And if there is nothing, all this kind of play we are hearing between DSS and CBN as security agencies is not ideal for our democracy. We are in a transiting country. By May, we have a new government. So the security agencies should be transparent. If Emefiele has done anything against the laws of the land, for goodness sake, the agencies responsible should do the needful. All these the people are coming out, his office was raided, CBN is arrested, is not there, and all that. We don't need, these are distractions. The CBN governor should be allowed to do his work, and if at the end of the day, there are things that the DSS believe that he has done and they are unlawful, then of course they have the right, because the CBN governor does not have any immunity. So using the media to give us this and saying that, for me, is not healthy for our democracy.
But let's also look at the image of these, the implication for the image of the central bank itself, which is the Apex Bank, the regulatory agency, a bank, the banking sector entirely. And if you also look at the image of Emefiele, this is not the first time, of course, his name will, be in the public for one issue or the other. But let's talk about the implication of this for his own image and, of course, the image of the Apex Bank.
Yes, you are saying.
Can you hear me? I'm not sure if Charles Fakroha can hear me there, but I was trying to get implication to his image, because at a point he was also alleged to be working or perhaps acting as a stooge for the current administration, and perhaps also being political in his dealings as well. But this time, this is not the first time, we know that. But again, if you also look at the history building up to this, we'll need to look at the implication for the image. But if you can hear me, I think because of time, we need to move quickly to the second story.
I can hear you.
Okay, let's quickly move to the next story, because we may not have time to deal extensively on that particular story. But let's look at this particular story now. The first story now, which of course talks about the National Assembly resumption, and of course their fourth assignment is to look at the ways and means of the president as well. But you know that before they went on break last year, the President Muhammadu Buhari had requested for a restructuring of about the ways and means loans restructuring, which amount to about 23 trillion naira. This time, of course, perhaps they might not have the option to disapprove the president. What do you think is likely to happen now that they are back?
What the National Assembly, they are just trying to do their oversight function. Yes, I was very happy when they decided to say we are going on recess, bring it to the new year, and of course they are resumed today and they are going to be looking at it. Yes, my advice would be, yes, let the CBN, let the National Assembly members look at it very well and debate, but they should also look at the root cause of this issue. Why is it that we've been able to accumulate that kind of amount of money using ways and means, and now the government wants to now swap it, what we call securitization, to a loan now? There are conditions in which you use ways and means. Were these procedures followed? If they were not followed, why? who was responsible?
Yes.
CBN authority.
Yeah, just quickly, because can you hear me, Mr. Charles?
So,
Now, yeah, quickly, because of our time, we may not have time to go into the conditions and all that. But let's look at the position of the National Assembly, whether they will go ahead to approve it or not. Because the last time they disapprove of it, and the presidency perhaps was not comfortable with that, and the presidency has warned that could attract extra over 1 trillion naira in addition or interest addition. So, do you think they will likely bow to the pressure coming from the executive this time? Can you hear me, Charles? Well, I was trying to get his reaction. What is likely to happen, the expectation from the National Assembly's decision today, if should they sit over this particular loan restructuring, will they say yes about the pressure from the executive, or they will still take their ground and start on their ground? I wanted to get that from you, Charles, if you can hear me. But I guess we couldn't hear Charles there. Maybe at this point, I will just have to leave it. Charles, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. So quickly, I was asking you, will they bow to pressure? Will the National Assembly bow to the pressure that is likely to come from the presidency? Well, I think on this point, I just have to...
It's a request.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you now, please.
They will grant the president's request because at this point, they don't have a choice. Instead of we, Nigerians, pay that additional interest, then let the loan be securitized.
Okay, let the loan be securitized, according to Charles Fakrohade. Now, maybe we should take a look at this particular story, these two stories together, if you can do that quickly in 1 minute. The Nigerian Employers Consultative Association is a strong voice within the organized private sector, asking the federal government to review economic policies, particularly the coming administration. That is one. And let's look at the intervention by the CBN in the economy. Between January last year and October, the CBN has injected about 15.3 billion US dollars just to stabilize the naira, alone. So let's talk about the consultative request, the Neca's request of the next administration in terms of revamping and reviewing the policy, and of course talk about the intervention of the CBN. It looks like there was no significant impact of this intervention in the economy.
The CBN is only doing its constitutional responsibility in terms of stabilizing the economy, and of course being the last resort banker to the government. The CBN has the right to stabilize the naira, but you cannot continue to support your currency. You cannot continue to do that because it has the expense of creating inflation. So the CBN has done what they expected to do, but they cannot continue to stabilize the naira because it's going to be telling on the larger economy in terms of hyperinflation, unemployment, and so many other economic woes that the country is going through. Okay. So what the CBN needs to do now is to allow the naira demand and supply to determine the price of the naira. But at the same time, we should be thinking of how to increase our revenue base so that we will not have an impact on our foreign reserve. So we need to increase our revenue.
Okay. Talk to us about the Nigeria Consultative Employers Consultative Association request, especially the incoming administration in reviewing the economic policies. For you, which one would that be for you? Quickly, let's wrap up now.
Yes, the first thing the incoming governments will need to do is to ensure that our revenue agencies, our revenue source are properly taken care of in terms of blocking any leakage, so that we can increase our revenue, so that we can take care of some of the teething problems affecting the economy.
Okay.
Our oil and gas, theft, there should be a lot of blockages. Then we should improve in our tax collection. There should be improvement in tax collection and efficiency in the administration of tax in the country.
Okay, I think we should leave it there. Charles Fakro, iBrandTV business analyst. Thank you for your time, Business Breakfast. See you again.
Thank you for having me, Frank. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. We'll take a moment now, and after the break, we'll turn our attention to the stock market. It's just about 1 hour at 15 minutes into today's trading. We'll take a look at what the market is saying. We'll be back in a moment. This is Business Breakfast.